I'm doing a first impression slash review slash I don't know what I'm doing type of video. I decided to give this L'Oreal True Match Cushion Foundation a try because I saw Makeup by Tiffany D's recent April favorites, or her latest favorites video, where she talked about this foundation just briefly, said that if you haven't tried it, you have to go get it. It's amazing. Then I decided to look to see if she had a review, and she raved about this foundation, so I decided to pick it up when I was in Target. I picked up the shade N2. Just because the warm shade, like the warm 2, I had it in the original True Match that comes in like a glass bottle, and that was very light. I actually had to throw it away because it just was way too light. So I thought, let's try a neutral shade. Now, before I get into the demo, I just want to tell you guys about my skin. Currently, right now, I have a lot of peeling because I decided to switch my Retin-A to a higher strength. So with that increase in prescription Retin-A, you're going to have peeling and redness and a little bit of sensitivity, which is what I'm experiencing. My chin is peeling very, very badly, so you may see that in the video. I don't know. I'm going to try not to show it because it looks pretty bad, but not so much peeling everywhere else. I think everywhere else is pretty decent. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I normally never, ever purchase foundations with the word luminous, radiant, dewy, glowy, whatever they want to use it to describe a luminous finish foundation. I never purchase those because I've always been a matte girl. I always like foundations that are matte just because I tend to lean towards the oily skin side. I've been treating my skin as if it were dry because of the peeling right now, but normally I have been using some Sanita skincare products that are more for combination oily skin, and they really seem to be working well for my skin. So I would say that I would be more kind of combo oily, minus the dryness right now, but I didn't think that this foundation would be something for oily skin just because of the word luminous. Now, that's just my personal thoughts. If you're oily skin and you like luminous dewy foundations, then by all means go for it. I just personally don't think that that meshes well with my skin and my oil production throughout the day. So I'm very shocked that I picked this up and I decided to give it a go. This is fairly expensive. I paid $16, $15.99 at Target, and I thought that was pretty pricey for the drugstore and for L'Oreal. I mean, come on. When did the drugstore get so expensive? But I'm sure you've seen or heard of the cushion foundation. It seems to be a very popular thing. Now there's not only cushion foundation, but there's cushion bronzers, cushion concealers, cushion blushes. It's like this cushion thing is just taking the makeup by storm. So I figured, let me just give it a go. So I'm going to just cut to the demo, and then I will possibly try to do some check-ins. It is pouring really badly, so the light is probably going to get really dark. I may try to do some check-ins, but let's just cut to the application. Alright, so all I have is just some moisturizer. I've done my skincare. I have nothing on my face. I do have some little issues to take care of. This little blemish here, this was a cystic acne. Then I got one here on my chin. Got a little purpley spots from some breakouts that I had back in March, and just a little bit of redness, but nothing real terrible. I was thinking about doing a little bit of primer on maybe half of my face because I normally always use some sort of primer, except right now I don't have anything that's made to kind of hydrate dry skin or one that's for normal skin. I always use mattifying products, and that's just going to make my dryness even more apparent and my peeling. So I think I might do the Smashbox Photo-Finish. This is an oil-free primer. It's got a silicone feel to it. So I think I'm going to do that on half of my face just to see how this foundation is going to hold up. But I'm just going to put a little bit on my right side. I'm going to take it under my eye as well. I do want to take a little bit on my chin. Maybe the whole chin. Actually, I am, because I know that's where I have a lot of peeling going on. My foundation applicator, my beauty blender, I'm going to take the rounded side. I'm just going to dab it once. And immediately I do notice that it does pick up quite a bit of this product. So I'm just going to kind of pick up some more and just start applying this. Okay, I think this might be a little too light. The next shade up in the N range was N 3.5, I think. And I just feel like that looked really dark. But again, when I was at Target, most of them have been open and people were sticking their nasty fingers in it. I hate that. And this was one of the only ones that I thought might actually work that was still sealed. I think it looks pretty good as far as like the coverage. I do think that the coverage is nice. So this is just one layer, and I've just blended the heck out of this like a mad woman, because this is not the right shade, but I feel like doing that makes it a little bit better. Now this is just one layer. I've just kind of lightly dabbed into the product, and I can still see a lot of my imperfections, this one acne bump here and here, just a little bit of redness. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try to build this up with a little bit more. I'm scared. I'm scared to do this because I don't want it to look really bad. But I think that with that extra little bit, I feel like I was able to get more coverage. I will spot conceal because I'm not going to keep loading up my face with foundation. I just don't want to keep doing that. This here is really peeling, so I'm just going to have to roll with it. Like, this matches the skin tone on my face because my face is this white, but the rest of my body, I'm more golden. See? We don't match. And it has been almost 3 hours since I had given you my initial thoughts, and so far I think that this side, which is the side that I applied the primer, the Smashbox, the Photo-Finish, the one that has that silicone-y feel, this is the side that looks very dewy, looks very kind of oily. I don't know, I just feel like that primer is making my skin look a little bit more shiny than it normally would have been. Typically, I usually use a mattifying primer, but when I use those types of products before foundation, if I have any dryness, it does accentuate even more so the dryness. So I'm not using mattifying products right now. So that is the only primer that I have that feels very silky. So I thought, let's give it a go. And I don't think that that primer works well with this foundation. And in general, I don't think that it works with a lot of other foundations for me because I'm more combo to oily, so that's just not a good primer for oily skin, I think. So I've had it on for almost 3.5 hours since my last check-in, and this is what the foundation looks like. Definitely very oily on this side, and oily on this side definitely as well, but not as much as this side, which is the side that has that Smashbox primer. I do think that this definitely needs some blotting. Now I will say that you don't get a lot of product in here. That's another thing that sort of gets me. For that price point, I do think it's quite expensive. I think maybe some of the cost goes into this type of packaging and, you know, the marketing or whatever, because it would take 2 of these to give you the same amount as, let's say, the Makeup Forever Ultra HD. This is a 1.01 fluid ounce for, I think it's $43. And of course, 2 of these won't quite equal the $43. You know, there is a savings buying 2 of these, but in order for you to get the same amount as a traditional foundation, which they usually always are around that 1 ounce size, you would have to purchase 2 of these. So I don't think that this would last. Alright, so I wanted to hop on here and just sort of give you my thoughts because I have used this foundation just a little bit more. The demo that you saw before was half of primer and half without, and then of course applying it with your beauty blender. And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I did not set that foundation, or that day I didn't set it at all. Now today I decided to try it again, so I didn't put any primer at all, and I did 2 thin layers of this foundation. The first layer I used my damp beauty blender as I did it just a few seconds ago in the first demo, and then I decided to try out the applicator. So it comes with like a little sponge, and basically what I did was I just put my fingers to the back and pressed the product like just once, and then sort of tapped it on to get myself a little bit more coverage. I don't feel like I needed more than just 2 thin layers because I do, like I said before, think this builds up pretty nicely. And I think the sponge actually does work. It's really nice and soft. It's kind of like very silky, the texture of this sponge, as opposed to that sort of classic sponginess that you get with the beauty blender. So I do like the applicator. And then once I had that all applied, I took my damp beauty blender with some translucent setting powder. I used the Bye Bye Pores by It Cosmetics. It's just a translucent powder. There's no color to this. I typically use this for the under eye area. And I just press that in, as I've done multiple times in previous full face tutorials and foundation routine videos. I just press that all over, and I do think that doing that I am able to get a much longer wear with it. It's currently almost 6 o'clock. It is, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, 5:54. So I've been wearing this foundation for over 5 hours now, and I have just a little bit of oil. I don't know if you can tell. That is highlight that you're seeing here and on my nose, but pretty good. At the 6-hour mark, just a few seconds ago, you saw how oily and greasy I looked, and it's just the fact that not setting it with the powder. Now, I have not tried this over a mattifying primer, just because as I sort of started thinking about it, and I may have mentioned already in the video at this point, that it is a luminous foundation, so for me to use a mattifying primer underneath it, then setting this to give it a matte look, I might as well just use something else instead of trying to, you know, keep using this product just for the sake of using a new L'Oreal foundation, if that makes sense. So far, I do think that I am able to go several more hours without touching up, which is pretty great. The foundation looks just as beautiful as it did when I first applied it several days ago. The clips that you saw previously were from last week, and it looks really good in my T-zone, like no oil whatsoever in my T-zone, which is bizarre. And just a little bit of kind of dewiness right here where I have my larger pores, and that is it. So I do think the foundation does sort of hold up throughout the day, and I have been out running errands. That's why I only have foundation on. I'm in a t-shirt, some yoga pants, been cleaning, doing errands, grocery shopping, so I've been out and about and also just kind of on the move here at home. So I just wanted to kind of give you my thoughts on it, testing it out a little further instead of just saying, okay, my first initial reaction was this, because sometimes it takes a little bit more than just your first use. So I do think that this foundation is good for someone who has dry skin, if you're normal skin type as well. Combo, just depending if you're combo and you lean more on the normal to dry side, or if you are sort of combo slightly oily, you have to set this. And if you are extremely oily, I don't think this is something that I would recommend personally. You know what? Had I not been hearing the hype about this, I would have just kept walking on the aisle of L'Oreal, because anything luminous doesn't really attract me very much as far as personal preferences. So I do think that if you're oily, you're gonna have to set this, maybe possibly depending on how oily, you may need to use a mattifying primer. But if you do decide to use it, you don't have to have the Beauty Blender to get a nice sort of buildable look with it. You can use the applicator that comes with it because it's a functional applicator. I do like it. I think that I like it more today than I did when I first did my first impressions and recorded that clip, because I just felt really sort of greasy and just like I needed to wash it off. So I'm glad that it still looks nice and that it feels still like skin, very lightweight, doesn't feel very heavy or anything like that. So let me know what you thought about this video. Leave your comments down below. Also, please leave your feedback. My dogs are going crazy. Leave your feedback down below if you've tried this foundation and what your skin type is, because I kind of want to gauge what people are thinking that have more oily skin. Not people who are just sort of normal skin that just like it and don't get really oily. I want to see how this particularly works for anyone that's very, very oily. So if you're one of those people, please take the time to let me know your thoughts down below and what you think if you've tried it. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you very soon.